What happened to me? Why am I tired? I don't know. I'm not taking all those medications anymore, and I don't drink caffeine all day, and
Zero caffeine? Zero.
Zero caffeine. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I had like one of those monster rehabs. I don't have here. Not sponsored. Aquafina. I did a monster rehab last week, like 2 of them in a row. I had one on Monday and one on Tuesday. But yeah, no, I don't drink a lot of caffeine anymore.
What did it do to you?
What do you mean?
Did it give you a headache? Did it make you tachycardic? Did you get flushed or anything? You don't have caffeine, and then all of a sudden, bam!
Just dependent on it. I don't want to be dependent on it anymore.
Right, but once you went off it, and then you had some, did it hit you?
No, not at all. Not even in the slightest. That's the sad part. I was hoping it would. I was hoping I'd like ride some caffeine high or something, and I didn't. I didn't feel anything. I was like, well, that was fucking pointless. I guess my body's like, it's the real shit or nothing.
What's the real shit? Cocaine? What's the real shit?
Yeah, right. Amphetamines? I don't know. But even then, when I was taking Adderall prescribed, I was taking, at one point, they had me at 80 milligrams of it, and I could still take a nap. So, but then, like, my ex-wife at the time, not jokingly, she's had a lot of schoolwork to do and asked if she could take one of my small ones. And I was like, that's fine. I don't condone sharing medications, but it happens. And she was like 12 hours just running nonstop, 12 hours, had anxiety, was stressed out. It's like, I just feel like my heart won't stop. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'd take a nap on this. And I've always been like that. Even in high school, I would drink 3 NOSs a day and be fine. So I'm sure it's something to do with my norepinephrine and stuff like that from things in my life, maybe, but
my situation, I think it's the same. Like when I drink this coffee, like I came home, the first thing I did was I got a cup of coffee.
Starbucks.
I think it's just a cup, but
I think
I think it's a crutch. I think that it's like in my head.
Right.
Because like I'll drink this, I'll fall asleep in like a minute and a half in bed.
Yeah.
This is like warmth and I like the taste of it, but I don't really think it does anything else.
Yeah, I don't think caffeine does what it used to. I mean, I remember as a teenager, maybe making me a little wired, a little jittery, but like I never thought it did anything, crazy. I've definitely had other things in my life that have given me more energy, but it's all short-lived,
right?
It is. And I hate to be this guy, but even when I was an athlete in high school and athlete after high school, and obviously my strongman years, which is a form of athleticism, I would say. I was eating a very specific clean diet. I worked out 5 times a week for over an hour a day. I had a strict workout regimen. I mean, I counted macros, like how much fats, how much protein, I mean, down to like within 10% margin. And I still just tired. Just did not have, I didn't feel like I was, everybody says, oh, I worked out, I feel great. Don't take me wrong. There were benefits from it, but I didn't feel like it was the magical solution that every influencer on the internet tells you it is. It doesn't magically answer all your problems. Was I stronger? Yeah. Did I sleep better at night? Yeah, because I was working out every day. I feel better about myself? Sure, all those kind of things. But I didn't have like some euphoric clarity that came out of nowhere, And I think I learned over the years that weird feeling of like being like a natural happiness all the time, like a kind of a general state of slight euphoria, I don't think that exists. I think people that have that are ignorant. Do you have that?
No.
Do you feel like you just feel happy during the day all the time? Or do you feel like it's just a grind?
I feel like it's a grind. I mean,
right.
I know people, there are a lot of people who, it's hard for me to get there, but there's a time when I'll do enough cardiovascular exercise.
The endorphins.
Yeah. Like I don't want to stop.
Right.
That happens once in a while. It doesn't happen often, but when I feel it, I know that it exists. But certain people think that they can feel like that all the time. I mean, I think that's a show, personally.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be somebody who says, no, I'm happy all the time. And if you are, good for you. But
yeah, right. Good for you.
You go get them. But I don't think that I could. I just think that a lot of it is like people who are like cheerleader personalities and they're always trying to like it's positive and I feel great. And I took 13 vegetables and ground them up in my blender and I'm drinking this juice that looks like diarrhea and it's great. It's like, it's not great.
Well, I do take men's vitamins now. I take it's like 82. So I bought something like My Men's or something. I spent quite a bit of money. It was like $50 or something for a month's supply, but it's like 82 essential vitamins. And also it has because I don't eat a lot of greens, guys. I'm not a big vegetable person. And I don't recommend that lifestyle. I wish I had a taste for vegetables. And again, it's not a flavor for me. It's the consistency, like the texture that gets to me all the time.
Right.
But I take vitamins to replace that. And I take like omega-3 fatty acids and stuff like that.
So do I.
I've noticed a little bit of a benefit with. I feel a little less cloudy in the brain. I feel like my sleep is more productive. But I probably have like sleep apnea. I don't know I have. And I can't do the damn test because they're like, oh, sleep through the night with this thing on your face. And then we'll put something on your face, help you sleep better. You're like, that doesn't seem contive to me.
It's like that crab thing from Half-Life, that drops on your head. It's like, here,
crab.
Go to bed. It doesn't work.
But, I'm on a weight loss journey again. I got out of control. Believe it or not, even though I was taking prescribed amphetamines and all those different medications, I gained a lot of weight on those. And now that I've been on them, I'm down like 7 or 8 pounds now, just in the month or so that I've been off. But it's crazy what medications do to people, And again, I'm never going to say that I don't think people should go to a doctor and get prescribed medications because they will help people. I'm just not that person. And I'm sure there's some magical concoction out there, but I think I'm better helping myself than relying on those things because I know my personality. And if I feel like something is a crutch, I lean too much on it. And that's just something you think you learn with age, but tired. Plus, the ADS stuff. I believe that once ADS takes off and we get up into business, day-to-day business, I think I'll find my niche in life. I think going to the office every day and doing the stuff that I will do every day, running the teams, doing the product evaluations. I think there's going to be a side of me that I don't think none of people have been able to see since, my younger years. Excuse me. Do
you ever get afraid? Now, this is like one of the reasons why I'm a doctor is because, you know me. I've been playing computer games since the 80s, right? And
of course.
And I never wanted. When I did graphic art for a while. I drew some comic books. I did t-shirt design. And I did it to the degree where after a while, I didn't want to draw. Right. Like I was like, I did it. I don't want to do it again. This is now tedious. Like what I enjoyed as a hobby became tedious. So I didn't go into computer science for that exact reason that I was afraid that if now I sit in front of a computer all day as a physician, charting, but that's a little different. But if I had to work with computers to the degree that I did where like my job is computers, that's my job.
Right.
That eventually I wouldn't want to ever play games because I'd be like, I do this all day long. The last thing I want to do is sit in this chair for a couple more hours. I want to go do something else. You ever feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. I hate to be that bearer, but I mean, for those who don't know, I've been programming since I was about 11. I know, boy wonder, crazy, but my mother who refuses to tell a lie because she thinks God will slide her down with lightning, will tell her that the first books that I ever read was a C++ book that a friend of mine's father gave me. He worked for Symantec at the time, the Norton company.
Norton, yep.
Yeah, and now did I know what I was doing? No. I was putting letters on screen, and I thought I was doing something, but I've always loved to program. I remember a time where I used to be into TeamSpeak of guys. We'd play games and write programs together and like Stream and TeamSpeak back in the day, or Ventrilo. Visual Basic 6 for those who might be watching us, they're computer guys. I know a gentleman I talked to in the DMs that's one of our followers. He's a software engineer. He will know Visual Basics 5 and 6. It's like old school stuff, but I used to love it. I used to get like an actual endorphin, like a high from it. But do I get that anymore? No. I mean, sometimes I do, but I do it every day, day in and day out. But I think the thing that we're forgetting is that ADS is our product, our baby, our meal ticket. And I think that even though we're going to be doing a lot of long hours, I mean, once that takes off, I know my work hours are going to go from 40 work hour weeks to 70, 80 work hour weeks. But that's what you got to do to get the seat at the table, right? You don't, nobody pulls a chair forward for you. So, but I think we'll still find enjoyment in video games because we're building them, not playing them. I don't plan to play our game day in and day out. You know what I mean? We'll have people that do that for us and give us the stuff, and then I'll make what programmatic decisions we need. And, you know, but even to know that you say that, oh, I'm afraid of that, I'll tell you what, I would still rather be on the hard skill side. So continue to go up like staying on the engineer pathway and not going the managerial pathway, because I still would rather do programming and I like to say in the trenches, than looking at it from afar. But I know, yeah, you're very correct. But I think, I don't know, I have a feeling that doing it every day is my own business, is my own product. You know, working at that level, I think I'll find a nice happiness there. That's
an angle I didn't think about. And like, you know, it's maybe one thing, like if you were working for a software company that like it wasn't your baby, it wasn't your product, like you were just like, I'm working for Blizzard or I'm working for Activision, and I just, you know, I do this part, and then eventually you're like, no. But when you own it and you're like trying to push it forward, and you're trying to, like, the success is part of the drive, right? That's part of the excitement of it. Like you want to be successful. You know, you the seat at the table is like, you want people to come to your booth at PAX West or whatever, you know what I mean? Or Gamescom or the
be on the stage, you know?
Right, with a big freaking screen behind you,
right?
You know,
right.
So it's like that's cool. So yeah, maybe that might make it a little bit different. So I'm hoping that never happens to me. But we played yesterday, and I had fun, except for that comment. But I had fun. Yeah.
So if that person and they say they wouldn't click back, I know I was hard on Star Citizen, you know, and I'll give myself a pass and say I'm usually the lenient one on the group of friends when it comes to weird gaming problems, because I know just the complexities that goes into building these software solutions and just how you can't foresee so many things. You design stuff to theory or best practice, but until you get the load and you get the people on there and you start putting all these, you know, you're building all these little individual pieces and then you're putting them together, and it's hard to foresee how everything will roll out until you're for lack of better terms, in the shit. And so like I'm pretty lenient on the failure, but Star Citizen has been failing a long time. And I don't know, like the company I work for now, if our product was as buggy and we had as much money invested, we wouldn't have the clients we do. You know, there's no way. It's just nobody wants to pay for that. Not to talk about work too much, but we had to complain because we released a new version of the UI for our cloud platform. And they're like, we had no idea it was coming, even though there was a banner on the top of the website for like 2 weeks before. But like if like a UI change made them upset. So imagine if our product was fundamentally broken and we're like, oh, but continue to give us more money. It'll be good someday.
Right. So the background, let me give it, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me give you the background here. So like, if anybody doesn't know, like Star Citizen is game by Roberts Space Industries or RSI. Yeah. And it's Frontier Games, I think, is the actual name of the company, if I remember correctly. But this company is making what is a like permanent MMO, massively multiplayer online game where basically they even have object permanence, like, right? So it's like you could be on a planet and drop a freaking water bottle, and like a month later, technically that water bottle is supposed to still be there. Correct. So it's a tremendous undertaking. It's been around for almost a decade. Yeah. If not a decade. More. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. I should pull it up, but this game
and the money.
This game, I think, is the most crowdsourced funded game ever made.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right. And we did if you watch if you listen to the podcast, we on our YouTube channel, we'll stream some games every once in a while and we'll chat about them. But like we bitched because now we're in the biz, right? So we're in the biz, and obviously we're not making a game like Star Citizen, because that's an undertaking that's just like, it's hard to even imagine. But you have to make a certain amount of decisions when you're when you're trying to come up with a timeline of what you're going to do, what you're going to implement, when you're going to implement it. And I understand, like, part of what's necessary is people don't want to pay for bug fixes. People want to pay for content. People want to pay for new spaceships or new planets or new missions or whatever. But the point is that I really believe that the fundamental game has to be fairly playable, right? To the point where it's not frustrating to play because of bugs. Like to the point where it's like, this isn't even worth it. Right. I remember seeing a video where somebody got some sort of cart and they opened up the cargo bay of their ship and they put the cart, like it was like a little metal cart in the ship, and it wasn't quite in all the way. And they shut the back door of the cargo bay on the ship, and the freaking thing started flipping around to all these different degrees. Like the cart was flipping around in the cargo bay, and the ship just fucking blew up. Right. It's like, And they spent all this time in a mission, and now they're like stranded on the planet. Their ship is gone. Right. And they're like, fuck this. Right. Disconnect.
Yeah. I mean,
you know how it is.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
But it's just I got a comment. You know who you are. I got a comment on my YouTube page saying like, this is the last time, like it's the first and last time I'll ever click on this. Like, you're streaming a game and all you're doing is complaining. And I
think the honesty would be nice.
Right. Well, I mean, watch Big Fry if you want to see about streaming games and complaining. You think I'm the first person in the world who's ever done that? But the point is that, like, we're playing it because we want it to be good. Yes. We keep coming back. We're like the stupid ex-boyfriend who just keeps going back to the crazy girl, right? Again and again.
I left my CDs in her car. I can't go just yet,
It'll be different this time, right?
Yeah.
So we keep going back, and I'll have to say it's incrementally better, but it's like baby steps better.
Right. I mean, they got a lot of tech. Yeah, oh, absolutely, and they've come a long way. I remember before the game, even it's the big cities it has now, But I mean, they have a lot of. I don't know. I have a theory that they built the game in a certain way, and it has a lot of legacy it's got a lot of rough implementation, and they're having trouble expanding on the rough implementation, not big redesign. And I feel like they're doing redesign work right now. And when you redesign systems from the ground up that maybe you spent a couple years building, it takes a couple years to redesign it. Even in my own company, I had to rebuild a microservice, just a chunk of functionality from a previous existing service into its own service. And it took me like 8 months. 8 months to do it, a month of testing. And even now, it's not even in production yet. It's still being kind of used in the back end. And in the 8 months, 9 months, I had to rebuild it. So many things had changed that there's some mechanics of that aren't even used anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what size team they have. I don't know what their engineering experience is. I don't really know much about Robert Space Industries or Frontier Game or whatever they are.
It's not Frontier. It is, I apologize. I just went to the Wikipedia to see. It's Cloud Imperium.
Cloud Imperium. It's a cool name. But they have with a game at that scale, though, there was probably some technologies they didn't have back then that they do now. Right. So that requires new design. And, with Project Permanence and just the scale that they're doing things, there's a lot of systems that, there's a lot of complexities that they have to implement, and it would take a team of guys months to do, years of debugging. And so I have a soft spot in my heart for what they're doing, because I know for personal experience being in the trenches that it sucks. It's a lot to do. But I would give a lot of money to have them. A lot of money. I'd give a lot of my soul to have the money they do and the team they have to do what we need to do. If I just had like 5% of what they have, we would be on the market already, probably, and more. Right. And the network solutions that we're building would be built in concrete. Right. So I don't know, and I wonder if there's internal business turmoil, if they had turnovers and stuff like that. Every time an engineer quits and another engineer comes on, it's like 8 months to a year ramp up before they're productive back on the team. So it's like, I'm curious of what hurdles they have. But yes, I want Star Citizen to be good. And if it was good, I would probably only play that game. Yeah, I agree. So I looked it up. So crowdfunding started in 2012. So it has been 10 years, more than good. So, and it quickly surpassed its goal. I think it originally campaign was 6.2 million. And I think why are we getting that? Why can't we crowdfund 6.2 million, Doc? I don't know. Total private funding
Jesus. It says here, the documents that revealed that in 5 years development from 2012 to 2017, the company spent $193 million.
That's more than Starfield.
In financials, right? So it makes a ton of money. And they keep releasing like new ships. There's a Citizen Con. So there is a Star Citizen convention every year. So, they release new stuff, but the point is like when you go on a mission, the enemy is just crouched and like just sitting there. If you drop a gun, you may not be able to pick it up.
Right.
It's fun because it's vast and there's a lot of cool things and there's a lot of interesting programming in there. Like we found out that like if you go next to a planet, the missions are going to be different. If you wait, it'll refresh. So there's a lot of missions, and I know they're trying to probably do like missions that are like automatically generated to provide continual content and all that stuff. But it's but the base game, like flying around, can't be crashing. We were talking in an old podcast.
You can't stand in a ship, you'll glitch out. That bug still exists.
Our friend Sylvie was playing it, and he like actually morphed out of the ship and like was left like 200 million kilometers away in a second.
I watched a new player guide today that was only like a month old, and that bug is still something to be cautious of.
Is it really?
Yes.
They said that.
They recommend you sit down if you're a passenger. I wanted to bring up some numbers though. So we're talking about how much did you say they spent in the last 600 million, 500 million?
No. It said so.
5 years.
Let's say total private funding, I think in 2020 was 63 million, and then it says here in some financial document they related that the documents stated that the company spent 193 million. So that's what they spent on development.
And just in the beginning, not currently. That's not the current expenses that they had.
That was 2012 through 2017. That's 5 years.
So right now, Starfield, just looking at the quick search you did, it's about $200 million. Oh, sorry, that's not right. Hold on.
You're looking at
So right now, it's about 590 million is what they're saying is market cost to develop Star Citizen in its current state. So GTA 5 cost 137 million. Red Dead Redemption cost 170 million. Cyberpunk, reportedly with the DLCs, is about $436 million to develop. Starfield was 200 million. Skyrim was 85 million. Elite Dangerous is about 8 million. When you look at games like Skyrim and Starfield, which I know Starfield didn't get nearly the hype that I actually quite enjoyed that game, and I might actually play that tonight before I go to bed. It works. It functions. Yes, it has bugs. Every Bethesda game has bugs because they do the same things that RSI is doing. They do these monumental scale video games, But for $200 million, they released a functioning game, storyline fully voiced. The trams don't lag and jump, tracks and shit. And you don't have to worry about the game crashing 200 times. Look at Cyberpunk. So initially it said Cyberpunk out the gate was 174 million for the initial release and 436 million now with all the bug fixes and DLC. Cyberpunk is a beautiful, gorgeous video game with so much mechanic to it and life. You go to Cyberpunk, I don't see citizens like standing on top of plants, touching their invisible PDA and not doing anything else. Like they have conversations with you. They watch you walk by them, and some of them will check. They'll check you out. Like some of the females, they'll walk and stare at you and shit.
Right.
But that's come on. I don't get how these games companies like the people that made Cyberpunk, how are they able to make a game just like that with graphics beyond stars? I'm going to be honest. Cyberpunk is higher end graphics than most of these games today. Starfield is beautiful graphics. And they're fractions of the cost, and they've got fully completed functioning games with DLC on release in the market. I don't get it. I know the networking makes a big difference. Believe me, I am doing that right now with ADS. I tell Doc all the time, I wish we had done a single player game because the networking is so much, so complicated and convoluted.
Right.
But still, can you imagine what we do with $500 million?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. Well, first of all, I don't think this game company really has made many other games, if they've made any games. So they don't have the background knowledge. They probably don't have the team that who made was it no, not was it EA? Who made the other space game? Starfield. Yeah,
Bethesda.
who made that? Bethesda. Oh, okay. So they're like
there's 400
like
people
very
developing Star Citizen, by the way. 400 quick developers. It's made up of over 400 people. I don't know how many that is engineers, but 400 people in general.
Right. That's a lot. That's a lot. And you know, the team size is obviously, you know, the resources, the ability, the financial backing. Maybe they get more money up front. Who the hell knows? But it's just the amount of money that I'm just, you know, the bottom line is the amount of money that this game is swallowed up in spending for development, in my humble opinion, should be a lot farther than what it is.
100%.
But the game is, the concept is fun.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, to that comment, you know who you are. The guy who helped us last night just replied to it.
Did he really?
Yeah, just while we were doing this podcast.
That was fantastic. Thank you for all the help.
Yeah, it says, I gave advice in the latter half, and they were actually very patient. I wouldn't say it became their favorite game, but they seemed to appreciate the nuances a bit more once they got some hints. And I think that's
very
accurate.
It's very fair. And you know, guys, I like to I throw dabs for the comedic aspect. I don't have some personal hate towards Star Citizen. I really don't. I mean, it's on my YouTube feeds during the day when I'm working. I watch guys do their own, you know, playoff grid and, you know, Bounty Hunter and Star Citizen. And I want the game to be so good. I can't express. I mean, last night I literally was changing overclock profiles and memory timings to dial things in just so I could play Star Citizen. I wouldn't do that if I didn't want that game. If I didn't think that game had so much potential, you know. I think, you know, when Starfield came out, I was so excited because I wanted to play a game like Star Citizen that worked. You know what I mean?
One of the coolest things that I saw anyone ever do in Star Citizen was they were being chased down by, I think it was an NPC ship. I don't know if it was a player character ship or an NPC character ship, but they were running and they were damaged and they were trying to escape. And this was a ship that could hold a tank in it, it had a tank. And literally they got the idea, what would happen? This is the stuff that makes me want to play Star Citizen. What would happen while you're flying the ship if I get in the tank, you open the cargo door
and shoot the ship,
and I shoot the ship with the tank from space, and wouldn't you know, it fucking worked.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can't tell you.
That's cool.
I can't tell you. I'd be I'd be like Star Citizen Boba Fett. If that game worked the way, I would spend day and night, hours every evening after work, programmer by day, bounty hunter by night, and I would hunt people down for the highest bidder. I don't care what you are, alien, human, whatever. I'm gonna get my cash. That's what I mean. But it's like I want the game to be so good because Elite Dangerous missed that mark. Elite Dangerous was beautiful, and the space combat is great, and it does function. But it's kind of a lonely, barren video game, Elite Dangerous. Star Citizen doesn't have. Star Citizen does feel full of life. And if Elite Dangerous had the combat system that Star Citizen is kind of showing, it would be good. But they dropped that ball hard because I don't think the combat in Elite Dangerous is anything like Star Citizen, even in its broken stage. So maybe we need to make our own Star Citizen.
Oh my god.
Maybe we'll get enough money. Maybe we get $500 million.
They're going to close the casket on us before we finish that project. I'll tell you that.
No kidding. I would hire great engineers to do something like that.
So what did so you were saying, like, we were talking about it because you were having some crashing with your overclocks. So you're happy Damon has upgraded to a 14th generation Core i9, right?
Yeah, 14900
KS. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and a ProArt motherboard.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. So I was very weird about the big little architecture at first. I wasn't sure I was going to like it coming from. So for those, my previous build was an Asus X299E Gaming 2 motherboard. So the X299 is the enthusiast series Intel had, the last of the high performance desktop or whatever they call them environment. I had a 10900X overclocked to 4.8 gigahertz fixed clock speed, so nothing, no turbos and anything like that, just 4.8 all the time. And it worked great. I loved it, and I wasn't sure I felt about going from having 12 or 24 performance cores to 8 performance cores and a plethora of efficiency cores. But I've had a substantial increase on performance going to the new architecture. And I went with the ProArt board because I do so much development with ADS and stuff like that. I have a lot of drives, and I'm sure I could consolidate and just buy a bunch of big multi-terabyte SSDs, but I got what I got, and I needed all of the SATA ports I could get. I had a little, I'll tell you what, overclocking this new platform is very weird compared to where I came from. So there's a bit of a learning curve for me. But I was actually able to get quite a good solid foundation. And now I'm not in a fixed clock. I would like to do a fixed overclock, but I'm not really sure how to do that on the big little, because now it's not just overclocking, just performance cores. You have to do a complete separate overclock for the efficiency cores, and they all run independently, and you got to figure everything out. And so I got a lot of learning to do to start punching in numbers, but I love it. I'm honestly, the fact that I was playing Cyberpunk today on ray tracing, and again, guys, I have a 3080 Asus Strix 3080 OC. So a little power out the gate, but nothing mind blowing. 12 gigs VRAM, stuff like that.
Right.
I had that overclocked about 10% or so within a appropriate thermal range. But I mean, I was getting 50, 60 FPS on ray tracing overdriven with psychographics. You and I were doing that about 50 FPS, and I can play the game smooth. And I realized that even though I had a 10900X with the great overclock and stuff, it was a huge bottleneck for me in gaming performance. So I'm definitely getting way more gaming functionality out of this new build. And I like the efficiency cores. I've noticed that at the Visual Studios, my development tools leverage a lot of the efficiency cores over the performance cores, which has been really nice for doing these big, when I'm rebuilding the Unreal Engine, things like that. I'm noticing across the board utilization. So some of my fears have been squelched.
That's good.
So I would recommend
awesome.
it. If you have an older Intel platform and you got a little bit of birthday money, I would recommend the build. You don't have to do the KS. I'm a weirdo. I wanted the special edition with the little plastic disc, because I'm a goober. But
right.
I mean, I rebuilt the whole system for $600. Now, mind you, I have the case, I have the graphics card, I have all the drives and stuff. But motherboard, RAM, and I always recommend Asus MSI Gigabyte boards. Try to stay away from ASRock and things like that. Now, I don't know what the quality of them is now, but I like my Asus stuff. Asus and Corsair tend to be my main go-to for,
How many SATA ports do you have on that?
So I lost 2. There's 8 on the board, but 2 of them are like hop swap ports that I don't use. So 6 standard SATA ports, but I gained 2 additional NVMe slots, which is great because I had all my NVMe slots filled on my last board, which was actually dipping into my PCI lane usage out of the CPU.
Yeah. They will,
And I don't have that anymore. I don't have that problem now because these have like some crazy number of PCI lanes and shared resources and stuff. So I recommend it. I didn't want to spend the money. I really didn't. I'm one of those guys that I'll write something until the death until I absolutely have to, but the Queen approved it. And who doesn't want to have a drive to Micro Center? Nerd Mecca, as I call it. And it was fun. It was a fun purchase. The ProArt board's gorgeous. I really like.
It is pretty.
You don't want the flashy graphic board, because I'm doing a black gold design with my system. The wood color we were talking about the other day. I really recommend it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, if you guys don't have a Micro Center nearby, it's good for you because it's easy on the wallet then, but it's bad for you because it is basically a Best Buy or bigger size store that basically it has and like everything. TVs and everything else is computer based, routers and switches, and there's a whole aisle of just keyboards.
Commercial equipment. Yeah, they have it all.
3D printers, monitors, computer
spend
desk
a lot of
shit.
money.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of money at Micro Center. And I saved money there. I actually saved about $100 said and done out the door at Micro Center that I did Amazon.
Is that because you bought it as a package, like the processor with the motherboard?
No, I just, they had different memory package options available for me. And this is the Micro Center Houston for me. Now, Denver Micro Center is my home base, but I'm in Houston right now. But the guy that worked with me was so knowledgeable, which is something really nice to get because it's nice to be able to go, here's the weird things that I need and give them the technical expectation and have them know what you're talking about and immediately know how to support you and get the things you need. And I ended up with a different set of RAM than I was initially going for. But I save about $100, $120 or so off that, and I'll upgrade at a later point. I'm not that too picky. RAM timings is it's like paddle shifters in your car. Like, are you going to be street racer? Are you going to like go out and beat Brandenburg time? No, but like to have the fast stuff.
Yep. I get it. And I tried to. I almost went there over the weekend. And there's one in Brooklyn and there's one in New Jersey. I almost went there, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't need anything there. And if I go in there, I'm going to buy something, and I'm just gonna be sad.
If we get 100,000 likes on this video, Doc has to buy me a Founders Edition 4090.
There you go. In the next 7 days, 100,000 likes.
Don't test me. I'll hire like an Indian vote farm if we need to. That's a cheap investment.
Yeah,
that's the next purchase though. A new graphics card. I love my 3080, but my girlfriend could use it. She's running a 3060 still, and even though it does great for what she needs with the amount of graphics work she's doing, I would like to get her into a 3080, and I could always use more graphics power.
They say that the 5080, 5090 should be out this year.
That's probably what I'll wait for. Then I'll probably just wait for the 5000 series, get that Founder Edition card.
Yeah. I wonder what they're going to charge for that.
Probably the same.
2Gs.
Yeah, about $2,000, $2,100 would be my guess.
Video cards used to be $300 to $500, like max.
Oh, I know. I remember.
Get yourself a Diamond Stealth 3D or whatever the hell they were.
What was your first like real graphics card? Not like a Voodoo or
Voodoo.
Not Voodoo. Like when you're doing your first like Pentium 4 build. Getting out of the old kind of slower architecture, we started getting into the hyper-threaded architecture. What was your first like real graphics card?
It had to be something by Diamond. I used to buy all stuff from Diamond.
I think mine was Diamond too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Diamond still is around. They just make like stupid stuff for like.
They make some graphics cards.
I think they make stuff to like convert videos to like PC and stuff. They don't have the stuff that they do now, but. The first game I ever played with a 3D accelerator was Descent.
Me too, actually.
And it was like, wow, I'm like going around and the whole map is rotating
Which
around.
Which one? Just the first Descent or Descent 2?
I don't remember.
3, the 3D one?
It was not 3. So it had to be 2. I assume it was 2.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw like the true power of that. I remember, you want to go back really old, I remember I had a 286 with 16 megabytes or 8 megabytes of RAM. And I wanted to play Dragon's Lair, but it needed 16 megabytes of RAM. So I had to go to the electronic boutique before they were GameStop and buy 2 more RAM chips and put them in just so I can play Dragon's Lair.
I had to do that with Diablo. So I don't have as much. My first computer was an IBM Aptiva. Oh, I can't remember that. IBM Aptiva with like the crappy eggshell white color that everything had.
Everything.
Yes. Now, I had a computer before that, but it was more my mom's computer, and I don't remember. It was like an 8086. Like, it was an old system, so I don't remember what that one was. Or 46, I think is what it was. Not 8086, 46. But this one was an AMD with 333 megahertz. It had 64 megs of SD RAM and 2 megabyte onboard Radeon card at the time. I could just play Age of Empires. Just enough to play Age of Empires.
12 FPS.
My mom upgraded Christmas one day. She got us 128 megs of RAM in total. And I had some, I can't remember, Sound Blaster or something. So I was able to play Duke Nukem 3D. Barely.
Oh, yeah.
Barely could play Duke Nukem 3 at the time. But I was able to play Diablo 2, which is all we wanted to do is play Diablo 2. And Myst. So we could play
Myst.
We could play Myst. We could barely run Riven. And then they came out with Myst Exiles, which was like that 3D version. And it just could not handle it. Eventually, my mom went to a Pentium 4 system, and we had a 2800 Radeon card. And I used to try to squeak Doom 3 out of that. And it could barely run like 28 FPS. But I was a young kid. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to play Doom.
I was always into like tablet computers before like iPads and stuff around. And Microsoft came out with the first tablet OS. It was just a Windows OS, but it was like tablet PC, and Motion Computers made a tablet, and it was
wow, Motion Computers. That's a name drop.
It came with a pen, and my whole goal was to get Star Wars Galaxies running on it. And
did it?
And I lived in York, PA. I remember having it in the house, and I was so excited. and I got, after like tweaking all these things, I got SWG to run at like 20 FPS. And I was like, look at this, man. I am walking through my house on something. A tablet PC is probably almost an inch thick, maybe like 3/4 of an inch thick, not like an iPad is. But I'm running through it. I'm like, I am walking through a house with a tablet playing Star Wars Galaxies online. And that was like a mind blown thing. It sucked, but it worked. But it was, I remember that.
I don't think so. I played Galaxies. 03 is when it came out. I got it right when it came out.
Me too.
I think I stole a 20 in my mom's wallet or something as a kid to go buy it. Sorry, Mom. That was Star Wars Galaxies the only time I'd ever steal, I guess, because I'm not a thief by any nature, but with Galaxies. But the computer we had at the time was my mom had brought home a computer from her because she used to be a graphic designer, like, way back in the day. And it was like 600 megahertz or something. I could barely, and I mean barely, run Galaxies on low graphics at the time. You're talking 600, 640 by 800 or whatever the resolution was.
Yeah.
Game thing with graphics card I had some old, maybe it was a Voodoo or something at the time. It barely ran Galaxies, but I didn't care. I ran around that game at 15 FPS and I was happy with it. Mm-hmm. That game changed my life. Galaxies changed my life. It got me through some hard times as a kid, and that's why I still play it today, 20 plus years
later. We played it, the stream before the
Star Citizen
Angry Guy Star Citizen stream was SWG.
We gotta play it again. We gotta play it again.
We do.
We having fun?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. You got to get the hang of it again because so many games have come out since then that even the controls, just trying to remember it all. And I remember,
but you didn't play the NGE.
No.
So this is your first time playing the new game enhancements or whatever that they kind of ruined the game with.
So yeah, as Star Wars Galaxies came out before World of Warcraft, and it was
it's a better game,
and it was a very grindy game, and
sandbox to the core.
It was sandbox, like these missions that you would go to a mission terminal and you would it would be just an instance mission, like go kill the people. You were not
special. Galaxies did not make you special.
Go kill the people in this bunker and then
lair,
come back. Right. And that was it. And you could do whatever you want. People would set up shops and they started like making weapons and making armor. And the big fun of Star Wars Galaxies was not boss fights, was not like legendary raids or anything like that. It was like you were hunting materials. You wanted a crate dragon pearl, or you want a
Kimogilla scales for
Kimogilla scale. Yeah. So there was you would have to take a bunch of people to fight these creatures that just live with the hopes that you would be able to loot an item,
right? That
you can put into a recipe and it would boost the stats.
Everything was a boss in Galaxies, really.
So, and it was fun. There were Jedis in the game. The game never told anyone how to be a Jedi. They wouldn't release that information. So people had to do, like, I think you had to master every profession.
7. You had to master 7 professions.
And then
old man would visit you.
Yeah, and then he would teach you the ways of the Force. But that was the only way. And people didn't know. And I like that they didn't tell it. Right, but they didn't tell you. Right. It said you could do it. There was no information on how to do it.
Well, in the first iteration of that, the Jedi, when you die as a Jedi, that was it. You permadeath your character. They got rid of that. I got some really, because I used to be a bounty hunter. I definitely have a permadeath or 2 on my record back in the day as a snotty 11-year-old or whatever I was, But I mean, more than just the resource gathering, the game let you do whatever you want. It was living in Star Wars. You could put a house down. You could start a player city. The traders were your own shops that people put up, as you were just discussing. And then on top of that, the I don't know what to call it, profession system. It wasn't like one profession. Like you could mix and match to make something that works best for you. I mean, I loved Bounty Hunter because like you literally were hunting down real people to make money. In Jedi at the time, if they had brought their lightsaber out in public, immediately flagged them on the Bounty Hunter terminals. You go to your shadow contact at like some shitty alleyway, and he'd give you, and you have to like use probe droids to like find them, and it would sometimes take a long time to figure out where they were at. And then you'd hunt them down. The fights would be like 45 minutes long if they didn't run into a house or something to try to get away from you.
Right.
So, and there was some missions. Remember, there were some instances. You remember the Corellia Corvette mission that Jabba the Hutt gave you? That's how you got the AV-21, like the fancy sports speeder. You had to get the power plant from that mission.
Yeah, they started. They started doing that later on, but yeah, I do remember that.
That was pre-CU though. It wasn't. It wasn't like major instance, but it was. If you died in the mission, that was it. Like, you know, you can't just go back and run into it again. You'd have to set everything up, and God, I missed that game.
They did like I think Geonosius or whatever it was with those bugs. You had to go there. I remember they had. You would like try to go to Kashyyyk, right? You would go to the Wookiee homeworld. You would do stuff. Kashyyyk, these were updates, but it was still pre-combat upgrade. And then when WoW came out, WoW was like fighting bosses and these attacks, and you had all these colorful attack icons, right? And so they tried to make that because it was immensely popular. As you know, interestingly enough, it still is. I mean, maybe not to the degree it was in the past, but I mean, what game has a longer play time frame than WoW? I mean, not many.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think if I could go back in time, I'm feeling it best. So we would have stuck with the pre-CU mechanics, but just adopted it more in a more modern mechanic. Maybe brought the more colorful things. Maybe did some stuff to speed up the combat a little bit. But if they had kept that sandbox and just expanded the game's graphics and world, I think Galaxies to this day would still been an active game.
Yeah.
With Disney and the whole new Star Wars stuff going on. I mean, God, back in the day, do you remember like how to get in the jetpack base? You had to like go grind the Death Watch guys.
The DWB Death Watch bunker. Yeah.
I think I'd killed like 1,000 of them before I got my first jetpack base. And then if you wanted Mandalorian armor, you had to bring a whole team of guys and one trader, and each trader could make one specific piece of armor. You had to
do it in there.
Yeah, these intensive raids to get down and he had to make it just right. He fucked up. That was it. All the PLCs, the BLs, all those resources that took months to acquire were gone instantly. And I think WoW appeased to the simple MMO mechanics, but what Star Wars Galaxies was like, listen, you could play an easy part of this game, or you could play serious, but it had everything in the middle. And I think they thought that if we made it easier and we sped everything up and we did, you could be a Jedi or you could be Han Solo, and really it just lost the color of the game. Now, there are some things I like about the NGE. I do like some of the simplicity of it, but I swear to God, if they could have brought some of that simplicity to the pre-CU mechanics, the game, I don't know, I still think it. Imagine like a new Galaxies coming out, a new pre-CU Galaxies with modern graphics, but that same open system. I bet you it would take off, especially because people are dying today for sim. Look at Elite Dangerous. Look at Star Citizen.
Right. People want to be able to exist in the world and do what they want. And in Star Wars Galaxies, people were just entertainers. Right. They would like hang out in the cantinas.
The socialness.
They would hang out, chit chat. They would the cantinas would buff, like they would buff your characters. So if they played music or they danced and you watched them, you would get like different kind of buffs. So each class needed the other class for something. Like, people who made spice as a buff, people who danced as a buff, and then of course just regular like doctors or healers, and then commandos were able to take out bigger things, and then you had the Terraskasi who were like the Bruce Lees of the. That's
what I was. I was a TKM
of the game, and they used to just like kick people's ass one-on-one, and it was just you could do anything. You could just be a crafter, right? Yeah. And all you do is I'm going to make weapons and make tons of money.
And people took it serious. There was crafters on the servers that like their name was known in the community because they min-maxed the equipment. And sure, they were a little more expensive than the guy in the average vendor. And you couldn't even buy the set armor you wanted. You couldn't just buy off a vendor. You had to like petition it through an email, and the guy would give you a price. You'd pay him, and you give the $10 million because he was trusted because, the billion guild members you've had bought it from him prior. And then they added light speed, which I thought was the open space combat was phenomenal. I think
that was fun.
Yeah. I mean, literally some of the ships people could walk around in it. So while you're flying the ship, people could walk in your ship. You could decorate it. They look out the windows and see space. And the game was well above its time. And I think they try to make it like WoW. And WoW is WoW. Star Wars Galaxies, and they should have just kept them in their independence like that.
Right.
But I mean, you look at games like EVE Online, you look at games like Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous, people want the simulation. I don't know why they dived from that. It was it was a silly choice.
I think that's a good recipe, and I think they need to get back to that with some they need to make some games that are, free open range games to do what you want and just take IPs like Star Wars, like remember the Matrix Online.
I love that
was
game
fun.
too.
That was fun. and you just need to be able to exist in the world. What was the one game? Oh, I'm never gonna remember. It's post-apocalyptic MMO, Fallen Earth. Fallen Earth.
I could never get it. I tried to get in that game. I could never.
Oh, you
get
didn't like
into
that? I enjoyed that.
I don't think I gave enough time. And that was a little before you and I were close. I bet you if I had known you, I would have played that. I would have played it. Or Vanguard. Vanguard is another one that came out around that time. I think MMOs could come back if they had the right company name behind it. But yeah, well, they're remaking KOTOR, Knights of the Republic, the old RPG. They're remaking it, Modern Game Engine.
Oh, really? But it's the same single player story driven game from BioWare.
Yeah, but they're remaking it, so I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I mean,
that's fine.
I'm supposed to give WoW a shot. I told my girlfriend, who's a diehard WoW fan, just like you. She's like plays it at work. That's how addicted she is already. Sorry for calling you out like that. But I told her that I would play it. But my biggest gripe with WoW is like, they're like 11 expansions deep. How do I get into that, not having ever played it? So,
right.
Thankfully, I have her. So we devised a plan. We're going to do classic level 1 through 16 classic, and then I'll make a level 60 character in the new one. Because she told me that once you get through the classic stuff, the next WoW, when you make a 60 character, you'll understand what's happened, and it'll feel like you're level 1 again. Because I guess 60 in new WoW is the one, or whatever. You
didn't play it a lot back in the day.
And I've Galaxies. I was Galaxies through and through.
I tell you, my ex-wife used to call herself the World of Warcraft widow, and cool we used to play that game. I used to bring my Dell XPS gaming PC to work as a doctor at night and run like an AI bot, a pre-tracked bot. I would have this software that would control that you'd walk and auto kill everything, loot, because you were like trying to grind for something, and he would just keep walking in the circle, and you would just hit enter, and you would walk away from the game, and the game would your guy would just kill things, auto loot, kill things, auto loot. Oh yeah, you would get banned. You would get banned. So every once in a while, you have to go in and move around a little bit, do some crazy movements, so it wasn't. So hey, dude, my buddies and I used to sell coins on SWG Coin. Man, we'd go sell credits on eBay and all that shit. Credits. So everybody did it
too. I bought credits a couple of times.
So did I. I bought credits too.
But I did the same thing. I mean, my first couple of girlfriends hated me because I used to take my computer. Like they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna spend the week with my parents." I'm like, "I'm bringing my computer because I'm gonna play Galaxies." I was running a guild at the time. I was like in a guild war or something, and I had to I was like, "I cannot be here. I want to be with you, but I gotta also be in Galaxies."
Did you have a laptop, or you had to bring your whole desktop?
I brought my whole damn desktop.
Oh.
I used to have the LAN-boy, the like strappy thing that would strap on your case with the handle, little slot for your keyboard, and because I used to. Back in the day, I used to take my computer to my friend's house. We'd play Halo. We'd play Splinter Cell, Battlefield 1942, Command and Conquer. God, the good old days. It's the last time I remember being like a generally happy human being.
There you go.
Taking my computer to my friend's house, drinking Mountain Dew.
And that's why we're playing it now, because we're trying to get it back. We're like, give us the dopamine. Just a little bit.
But you know what? Not to turn the conversation serious, but I mean, Galaxies got me through 2 divorces with my parents, and it got me through a lot of troubled childhood stuff that was going on in my life. Galaxies gave me an escape that I didn't have in the real world. I got to go on and be in my own universe, and I'm sure there's some psychiatrists out there like, "Oh, that's not healthy," but to me, it was a nice escape. You can't tell me that you didn't enjoy the escape, the world escape.
It was fantastic. I remember thinking about like bringing my computer to work, because back in the day, like when you worked in the ER at night, no one came in. Like no one. If somebody was like really, really sick, they would come in. I remember we used to actually be able to sleep at night. Like doctors used to be able to ER doctors used to be able to go to bed.
Didn't you guys have a bed? Yeah, so it was a room, right?
Yeah, there's like a call room. So we would say, and we had 2 doctors on, and there was already not even enough people to be seen when there was 2 doctors. So one of us would go from sleep from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. and then the other doctor would get up, and then you would be up then from 3 a.m. to 7. So we'd split the last 8 hours. One doc would sleep, the other doc would stay awake, then flip. And I remember that it was almost time for me to go to sleep, but there was no one in the ER, so I was playing WoW. And I was running a raid. You know what I mean? It's like, and then we're on the last boss, and like a cardiac arrest is coming in.
Oh no.
So I woke the guy up who was sleeping like 15 minutes early. I'm like, hey, listen, like I'm trying to fight this boss. Can you please come in and take care of this patient so that I can finish this raid? And he's like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, I'll owe you. It's just 15 minutes early. And he's like, whatever. And he comes out and he took care of the patient, and he got up 15 minutes early because I needed to finish fighting a boss and never be able. You get fired for that today. Yeah. Guaranteed. That'd be the last day of your job.
I used to do the EVE Online. I used to play EVE Online.
Oh,
I was a systems administrator, and I would work real hard to get stuff in place, and then like people put in tickets, and I'm like, oh, that ticket's not important. I just played EVE Online during the day. Not the same level of seriousness, but
right.
Definitely sneaking in some playtime.
How many? It's funny, like how many MMOs there were, like D&D Online and Ion
Warhammer
and Warhammer and
Asheron's Call, Anarchy Online, EverQuest.
I played Anarchy Online. EverQuest. Ultima Online was my first one. That was my first taste.
I played Ultima at the tail end.
Yeah.
The very tail end.
You can pickpocket guys in the game.
Yes.
And there was like a dice roll. Right. There'd be a dice roll of whether or not you would either just get a random object out of their inventory into your inventory, or you would get caught and the entire city could kill you.
Yeah, flags you.
Yeah, so that was. I remember how much fun that used to be.
That hasn't been any good MMOs in a while, though. SWTOR, I guess, was pretty fun, but again, it's just on rails. It doesn't have the sandboxiness to it.
No. They're all using that WoW mechanic, right? Like WoW just send you to this mission, to this area, and do these missions, and then leave that area, go to the next area, do these missions, and then eventually you would end up at some sort of big boss, right? And then you would kill that, and then you would go to the next area. And it was very railed.
Did you play Lord of the Rings Online?
I did.
Sorry, it was very railed, though. It was very railed.
No, yeah, it was. I think a lot of these, and I think, to me, the Old Republic seemed more railed than WoW, to me.
Yes.
Like
better story, though. Like the interactive, like, the cinematics where you and your friends all could speak and stuff. I think that blows WoW out the water, and the graphics I think were better too because it's more modern game engine.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I
traveled
very railed.
I traveled all the way PAX East just to play that game, and they had like a 5-player mission given by like whatever kind of alien Yoda is, like whatever type of alien that he is.
Just Yoda.
It was a different Yoda like guy, but he gave us this mission that we had to play. And then you waited like 3 hours in line. You played it, and then they gave us a ticket to their after party at this bowling alley right across from the baseball stadium in Boston. And then I got some signed posters from the dev team, and it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people dressed up.
I pre-ordered that because it was like Galaxy shut down, and that game came out 5 days later or something ridiculous.
Right.
And so I was hoping that was going to be, I thought I was going to like seamless transition. But I remember when I played that game, I was like, what is this? This isn't anything like what I thought I was going to be. No, I enjoyed it, and I still played it for a while, but it just wasn't the same. Wasn't the same at all. And I don't think I played MMO since that's got me the same fuzzies. Matrix Online did, actually.
Yeah.
But that's not recent. That was what I would do for that to come back.
Is anybody running a server of that?
I actually have source code for an emulator server that some team wrote that they've been working on, but it's horrendously written. And I had a lot of faith until I looked at the source. Sorry, MXO Emu team. So I looked at their source and I was like, this is nowhere. It would take years of a full team of guys to get this anywhere reasonably playable. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when I worked on the Galaxy server, the reason that even was realistic is because somebody at SOE leaked the source code before the game died, or after the game died, they leaked the source code to the public. And if it had not been leaked, I don't think Galaxy's emulator would be anything today. The same with the WoW Emu. Then they shut that down with Classic because they made Classic, which was a smart business move.
Very smart.
If I give Blizzard anything, that was a smart fucking business move.
Oh, definitely.
Now there is emulator server, which I've actually offered to do some help on the side with what little time I have, but they're doing the Lord of the Rings Online server. They're trying to bring a classic version of that back, which I'm really excited for. So I'll have to let you know when that comes out. We should play that together. Because I love Lord of the Rings Online until they got all pay to win and all the markets and stuff, it just robbed the game of what it was. But back in the day, Lord of the Rings Online was a great game too. Loved to be in Tolkien's world.
That was fun.
But
I think that that's the reason why we're playing Star Citizen. Just to come full circle, because Star Citizen, the massiveness of it allows you technically to do what you want, just like you were saying, like you were just living off the grid, or you're a bounty hunter, or you want to like run cargo, whatever you want. So there's that's the itch that Star Citizen scratches for us, and just that complete open world, go where you want, do what you want. You don't have to. There's no story rail to it at all. Right. You just, hey, you know how like most games they have a story, like how did I get here? What's my motivation? What am I? Did I crash land on a planet? Do I have any resources? Are my parents being held hostage? Like, what is this? Nope. You just log in, and here I am. What do you want to do?
You're just a citizen of the world, which was nice, because I don't like being the hero all the time. I don't want to be some special character. I honestly, I think for me, that stems from some of my play. My desire for that is from Galaxies, but you ever played Morrowind? You played Morrowind, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Morrowind and Daggerfall, same thing. You could be super special or not. You could just be whatever, you just be a person. And I don't think I ever completed the Morrowind main story. I don't think I've ever finished it. I just do the side stuff and run around.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah. Well, this was nice reminiscing.
Yes.
An hour of reminiscing about or a small amount of complaining.
Little amount of complaining.
Little amount of complaints. But if Star Citizen gets the bugs out, I will definitely, just like you said, I will play it more. And I'm going to look up that guy, the guy who helped us out yesterday, being that he Vorpal robot.
Shout out to that guy again.
I'm gonna like get him on our Discord and we'll play. And then Chris on our team messaged me today. He's like, I didn't know you liked Star Citizen. I have like 7 ships, and I'm like, I didn't even know you played it. And he's like, I didn't think anybody played it.
He could cart us around.
Yeah.
No, we need to play some more. Though I wanted to talk to you about this already, but it's time to buckle down on some ADS stuff again. And I feel like I can never emphasize enough of how much I have to do for that project. And so I was glad we were able to get this podcast in, because I have to go underwater for probably about a good month or two to finish up some of the things that we need to get done for the vertical slice. And I'm having anxiety, Stock. I'm panicked. Can you write me something good? Can you write me the fuck it all, 100 milligrams of fuck it all, or whatever it is? Yeah.
Fuck it all, or fuck it all.
Yeah. Fuck it all.
Just send you a bottle of bourbon. That's a straw.
I'll take it. I was trying to get Doc to let me live in his basement today. I was like, dude, let me just live in your basement for a year. I'll give you like $1,000 a month. It's cheap. I could barely work on that. I could just spend time doing MOE, because I got so much to do. And guys, I work on this shit like 20 hours a week, and like I still like, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Where's it at? It's got to be somewhere.
I'm sure at one point you've jumped off a very high diving board and you went really far underwater, and you keep swimming up to the top, and you're like, why aren't I to the top? That's what he feels like. Why is there still water?
Give me some oxygen.
Right. Yeah, it'll happen. So we'll be really, we can't talk more about that stuff, but we will be soon. The way it's looking is that info will probably drop less than a month. Yeah, I would say. So stay tuned for that, and
we'll do a podcast for that alone. I think when that comes,
we will. So this is why we complain, because we're in the biz.
We are in the biz.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. It is the 10th of April. So another podcast in the books. Stay tuned for whenever Damon comes up from water. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Take it easy.